Ernest Hemingway was an acclaimed author long before he wrote The Old Man and the Sea, but this 130-page novella put him over the top into a small pantheon of American writers, earning him a Pulitzer and a Nobel Prize. A tale of man versus nature, this short book is part travel piece, part nature narrative, and part religious allegory. We needed a break from the hefty tomes we've been reading for previous episode, but what this book lacks in page length it makes up for in interpretive value. It was an iceberg of meaning indeed, and we had plenty to talk about while drinking bitter death-in-the-afternoon cocktails. So join us for a raucous hour and try to keep up with our sipping. It's time for episode 38 of Toasting the Classics, The Old Man and the Sea.
Hey everybody, welcome to Toasting the Classics, episode 38, I think.
38.
This is Clint Lanier.
Dave McArthur.
And this is the podcast where we...
Two old men on a podcast.
Two old men on a podcast.
There goes my title.
Oh, geez, right there.
There you go. That was easy.
Never have the words flowed from your penny pencil.
Yeah.
Like they just did. This is the podcast where we take something
that people call a classic.
Reported to be classic.
Right.
We dissect it. We look at it.
Take it apart. See how it works.
Dance with it.
Try to put it back
feel
together.
And then we decide whether it's classic or not.
That's
because
right.
you can trust our judgment.
Don't forget that we also drink something that's inspired by the classic.
Right, which is the whole toasting
we
part.
have the conversation. In fact, I think we should start drinking a little earlier in the podcast this time. I
Should
think
we
we should, at the top of the podcast, let's talk, what are we doing?
Well, first of all, we're doing Old Man and the Sea.
Old Man and the Sea, which is obviously by James Joyce.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say
Everybody knows
F. Scott
that.
Fitzgerald.
F. Scott Fitzgerald, that's right.
So Hemingway wrote this book in published it in 1951.
Right.
And Hemingway was a bit of a drinker.
He's been known to tipple every now and then.
Every now and then. And he came up with
we won't be drinking. I can't open this. We're going to need a real man in the office here to open this because I can't make it happen. Oh, there we go.
There you go. So he came up with a few different drinks. And what are we drinking, Dave?
We are going to be drinking Death in the Afternoon, which we're just barely missing the afternoon, 6:30. If it was summer, this would arguably
sounds
feel
like a
afternoon.
really lively, fruity type of drink.
It sounds
right?
apropos, right?
What does this drink consist of?
What this drink consists of is either absinthe, which we don't have, or Pernod, which we do. Because we did Pernod for Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Right.
Had some of this hideous concoction, Pernod.
He just popped.
I was not expecting that.
You just popped your cork right in the middle of the podcast room.
Where did it go?
Over there somewhere.
I forgot. I guess I forgot about it. Almost
So
blew
we
my
have
own head off.
absinthe and
Champagne.
champagne, and it's some dry champagne. So, Death in the Afternoon concoction that Hemingway came up with, rather. I think in Paris, right? Maybe?
Must have been. Harry's, right? With
And,
the old Gertrude Stein scene.
His instructions were to, and we should be using champagne flutes. We're not.
No.
Our apologies. But I think he said essentially it's equal parts absinthe and champagne. I believe, right?
Jigger of Pernod. I don't know whether that's
how much
jigger
champagne?
like a shot, right?
It's a little more actually. It's
Okay.
almost 2
Okay.
ounces.
All right. Well, then I'll stop there.
How much champagne? About equal parts? No.
Well, if it's a jigger of, it was just a glass and then a jigger of Pernod. I wasn't told.
Interesting. And then I think he said drink 4 of those slowly or something like that.
Can't be that much.
It was a lot. Let me look up his...
Yeah, it definitely says to drink a bunch of them, but I'm just saying, watch the amount I'm pouring. I can't possibly be supposed to put in more than this, right?
Oh my God, that's a lot.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
It has a mimosa-looking quality to it. Death in the Afternoon is one of Hemingway's 7 novels.
Right.
About bullfighting, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Or it has references to his time in World War I, but
Well, it had
primarily
to have been in Paris, then.
I'm not sure. He wrote certain things at different points in his career. I read.
He wrote different things at different points in his career.
He had some of his notes and things he wrote in Paris.
Oh, right.
And then didn't write the books until later, 20 years later. And so
Pour 1 jigger of absinthe into a champagne glass. Add ice.
Right.
Champagne. Oh, it does have ice. Add iced champagne, rather, so it doesn't have ice.
No, it's not supposed to have
Until it
ice
attains
in
a
the
proper
drink.
opalescent milkiness. Drink 3 to 5 of these slowly.
So what do you think? Is that opalescent? And what would I do to increase the opalescence? Would I add more champagne or more Pernod?
I think more champagne. I think it was a full glass of champagne.
Okay,
so
so
no.
let's-
Yeah.
Yeah, let's top it off with a little bit of champagne.
See how it's getting lighter there?
Yeah, the real question is whether this will be grosser, less gross,
God.
or equally gross as the Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster.
Okay, before we drink this,
That was
because
pretty
I've
vile.
had one of these.
Oh, you have?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Guess what this is going to taste like?
It smells like death, like
In the
actual
afternoon?
death. Yes, How do I feel about that? Well, first of all, Pernod I think is inherently kind of disgusting. I'm not into these anise-flavored liquors.
Yeah.
I just Ouzo, Rocky, not a fan.
Rocky.
Rocky from Turkey. It's the same thing. as
Oh,
Ouzo.
Rocky.
Rocky.
R-A-K-I, right?
R-A-K-I, yeah.
Sorry.
No, not Rocky.
It's like Rocky. You know what's really interesting is a lot
You
of
have got to be drinking to
a
get
lot of the
drunk.
cocktails of the 20s were just really terrible. I mean, they're not. Have you ever had a French 75? It's probably one of the most famous.
No.
Like,
What's that?
in all the quote unquote mixology places and cocktail labs around the country, you'll find a French 75. And it was invented during the World War I, like 1917 in France, at Harry's New York bar in Paris. It is gin and simple syrup,
Okay.
and then it's topped with brut champagne, so dry champagne.
Okay.
And you think, well, it
It
has
doesn't sound that bad.
not at all sweet. It's super sour.
Okay.
And then the floater the floater champagne, just the bubble. And so many of the drinks sound really appetizing.
I don't know if it sounds great, but it doesn't sound that bad. But I guess.
Well, it's not like this, but I mean, it is. It is not sweet and sucky.
Do you remember back in the day when they used to
have
have a thing that was you had to tell whether something was like a pound puppy or a transformer or like a something? I think they should have a thing that's like cocktail or sex act. What is a French 75?
Right.
I don't know, man.
It's got a good history. I'll say that. Next time you go to Paris, you have to order one of those at Harry's because that's
I will do
tradition.
that.
Yeah.
I will do that.
Anyway, so we are reading. What are we?
Still Old Man in the Sea.
Still Old Man of the Sea. Now,
Big Hemingway guy? You read
I
a lot
am.
of Hemingway?
I
How many
read-
Hemingway, of his 7 novels, how many would you say you've read? You've read The Sun Also Rises.
of course,
You've read For Whom the Bell Tolls.
yes.
You've read Green Hills of Africa. We both
I have
said
not.
Okay, that one's good. That one I really liked. I read that a long time ago. I went through a Hemingway phase after I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And I think I might have read all 7 of the novels.
I only
Unless
read-
they're counting Islands in the Stream. I never read that.
I've only read 3.
Okay.
So Sun Also Rises, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and Farewell to Arms.
and then
Those are
Old
my
Man
3.
in the Sea.
Old Man of the Sea. And then I've read A Movable Feast.
I haven't read that.
I've read a lot of his short stories. I never read Stones of Kilimanjaro, though, for some reason. I don't know why. It's just never occurred to me.
Is
to read
that separate from Green Hills of Africa?
Yeah, it's a short story, I believe.
It's a short story.
Yeah.
Okay.
To Have and Have Not.
I think I just read those 4. And I read, when I discovered the existence of Barnes & Noble, like giant bookstore, with
Right.
every book you could ever want, and they had these comfortable chairs strewn through
just
the
read,
building.
huh?
And they don't do that anymore. But I went in there and I would just like pick a book and sit down in the chair and like read the whole book. And I remember
Yeah.
I read Old Man in the Sea. I could still see where I was sitting when I read
Yeah.
it. And I remembered like almost nothing. Like if you read something so fast in like one sitting, it's just
Right.
like also almost 30 years ago.
Right.
That was. I mean, I was in high school.
Well, it's
so
a quick book. Everybody I've ever talked to bags on this book. They hate it. I
Really?
loved it. God, I loved it. I've never read
Why
it
would
before
somebody?
because it's slow moving and it's
No, I didn't feel that way at all.
well, I mean, and it's just a man in a boat.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, but it's short.
Little man in a
So
boat.
it's 130 pages.
right.
It's like novella length. How could you go wrong?
Actually, it's called novella.
Yeah, I think it might not even count as a full novel. So,
Although they do count as a novel, but
okay, they do count it as one of his novels.
it was serialized. It was serialized in I think Time or something like that, or
Okay.
Life. One of those that would serialize his stuff all the time.
It definitely has. It's definitely a classic, but people call it a classic. I mean, it won. He won a Pulitzer Prize for this, Nobel Prize for Literature based on this.
Yes.
Pushed the committee over the edge. So I mean, we're dealing with something people consider to be a classic.
Absolutely.
Unquestionably.
Well, this is considered his best work. Which is really
Now I don't know
interesting.
about that. From what I've mostly heard, the novel that is Hemingway, like in a jar, if you want to, is Sun Also Rises. Now I liked For Whom the Bell Tolls the most.
No, you've read Sun Also Rises, right?
I have.
How much do you remember about that one?
I have sort of a pastiche of memories about World War I and the
Okay.
ambulance. I don't know, nothing.
All right.
But it was a long time ago. So,
Well,
and I
okay,
find this
everything-
outdoor type of reading,
the most
like Green Hills
mundane
of
things
Africa.
that you've done in the time that you've read Sun Also Rises was probably more exciting than the
But
reading.
that
of that
doesn't
book.
mean it's not a great novel. I mean, I agree
This
with you.
this made
It's-
him a superstar though. This
This
made
did.
him an
This
international
did.
celebrity.
I mean, he was
you know?
he was a very well known writer before that, but he was
Yeah.
like a global superstar.
Yeah,
after
no,
that.
this was huge for him.
And I don't think it was good for him.
No, he put a gun to his head 6 years later.
Yeah, he died in 61. And
I was gonna say 6 years after his Nobel, but because I think
oh yeah, that's about
no,
right.
7
yeah.
years actually because he got his Nobel in '54. So
Like while reading through his life story, I was getting the impression from like pretty much day one when he became a famous person, came back from the First World War and started writing that the drinking was a problem and an issue. And there's like a constant series of these weird injuries. Right?
A lot of them. Yeah.
Like there was one, he was in Paris and he goes to the bathroom and tries to pull the toilet chain down, and it's actually the skylight which falls on his head and
scars
tears
him
open
for the rest of his life. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's something you do when you're drunk. That's not an injury that happens.
Have you ever read A Movable Feast?
No.
Okay, so
no, I don't know that one. That's the one that was made from his notes that he found later.
It was
the story about how he lost everything at the train station, but then he found a chest of his work from the Paris years.
Right.
In the 40s at some point.
I think it was his recollections and stuff. But I mean, it was so he would pal around with F. Scott Fitzgerald. Was the two of them would go on these drunk like weekends or weeks, lost weekends, whatever you want to call them. And
I was reading about how he used to go drink with James Joyce too. And I said, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like if you had a time machine,
right?
Who would you rather go out?
God,
like maybe one of these ancient Roman guys.
Actually,
or something,
any of those guys. Okay, can you imagine like James Joyce, F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ezra Pound, Hemingway, Pablo Picasso, Gertrude Stein. I mean, all of these people.
And then a bunch of people that are like Ford Madox Ford, John Dos Passos, people that like I'm not as familiar with, but who are huge writers. All of them hanging out together and getting hammered.
That's what writers do. Writers drink. Writers just plain drink.
I would like to argue against that, but I'm not sure I can.
You're a writer.
I'm not drinking. Sure I can. I am. Yeah, that's true.
And we have a podcast called Toasting the Classics.
We do. We are not evidence to the contrary, but I mean.
But so Movable Feast is all about
there's
that.
There's probably some Mormon guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Brigham Young. But
I love his work, by the way. His novels are just ripping it. The page turners. I know. Can't put them down.
Best science fiction you'll ever read. You actually should read Movable Feast. You'd really enjoy it.
Reading all of Hemingway's 7 novels.
I actually have a 1950s edition that I can loan you a few.
All right.
But it's fun because he talks about these weekends going with. Remember last time we had talked about F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife,
Zelda.
We
did a whole podcast episode.
Apparently Fitzgerald did nothing but complain about her when he and Hemingway would go out and drinking, and so Hemingway drops a dime on him in A Movable Feast. He's like, went out with old, he has a name for him. I can't remember what he calls him. But I went out with old whatever.
Yeah.
And we're out drinking. All he's doing is basically
complaining about his wife.
Complaining about Zelda and how she never lets him do anything. And I kept telling him, hey, you need to cut loose. And
he went through a period. I think it was right before the war where like all of his buddies were dying.
Yeah.
It was like Fitzgerald and Dos Passos. No, not Dos Passos.
Before World War II.
Ford. Yeah, right before World War II. Yeah. Everybody was dying. And it was when we saw the list of people, it was like from 1939 to 1946, like everybody died. Yeah. A lot of it is, I think these guys came back from the First World War and experienced the First World War, and they were just like, there's no future. Let's just kill ourselves.
Well, they were young. They were young. I mean, they're all of them less than 25 years old, right? So it's kind of like they're all immortal. And you have that feeling when you're a kid, you don't think about the future. You don't think about what's going to happen.
They're all born about 1899.
Yeah.
And so right before World War II, they're all just about to turn 40. And I'm here to tell you.
Middle-aged, yeah.
You do start to feel slightly less immortal at 40.
Right.
That's where suddenly it's harder to lose weight. Suddenly it's
a lot of people
everything.
do, but
you start feeling bad.
But he just
the 2-day hangover kicks in.
He had just come off of the Spanish Civil War.
That's
which
true.
ended in 1939.
That's true.
And then next thing you know, he's going into Normandy because he landed in Normandy as a correspondent.
Did you hear about the middle part though? So he came back from the Spanish Civil War and decided that he really needed to be involved in the war effort, even before we were in the war, but the war effort, like the European war effort against Germany. So he got a boat.
Oh yeah,
with his buddies, and they fitted it out with like stacks of dynamite, and they would just like basically deep sea fish, but with dynamite, and like hope they were hitting a U-boat every now and then. Like, and because of his activities doing that, so later in his life when he grew really paranoid, he was like, I think the FBI's following me. And it turned out they had a huge file on him. They were following him because of his activities, fighting the war for himself.
I think he owned like multiple submachine guns and stuff like that. I mean, he like.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he financed Spanish Civil War, so he was there as a foreign correspondent for a newspaper. However, I think he took up our arm against the fascists, if I remember correctly.
Against the fascists? Okay. I was wondering what side he was on.
Yeah, he like totally defied all the rules.
He would not have been comfortable fighting for the communists either.
No. Yeah, well.
But I guess he would have been.
No, I think he, let's see, it's, which is it For Whom the Bell Tolls? No,
yeah.
Farewell.
Yeah.
Okay, For Whom the Bell Tolls. Well, that, his protagonist in there, if I remember, is a mercenary. He's an American
I think so,
mercenary,
yeah.
machine gunner,
Yeah.
who basically he owns a machine gun, and so that he's hired to
Right.
to fight against the fascists.
You know what? If you have a machine gun, you
styled-
can always find work.
He styled himself like as that guy. I
Right.
mean, that's what he based
It wasn't
on,
Nick
so.
Adams. Nick Adams is usually his this is Hemingway character. But yeah, it's pretty much him. I think he feels younger than Hemingway would
You're,
have been.
you're enjoying that drink, aren't you?
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay with
Look
me.
at you.
I don't mind. Yeah, I'll drink. I'll
Put
drink a
nip-
death
Put a
in the
nipple on my
afternoon.
glass
What? Oh, because you're nursing it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough
So we
break.
haven't talked about this actual book that we read.
for not doing what I do, and,
Right.
And say, let's read Shogun.
Don't worry.
or something.
Don't
like
worry.
that.
I'm holding my punches. I bought a real woolly dog-eared copy of Our Mutual Friend by Charles Dickens, and I
God.
plan to inflict
Oh,
that on
Lord.
you at some point. So
Okay. Well,
don't worry. I'll make up for it. What's the book? So the book we read
Yeah.
was Old Man in the Sea, which is the story
you
of...
just made fun of me. About. Oh yeah, just like it was
I'm
the first
reminding
time.
the listeners.
Yeah.
The listeners
okay.
may have drifted off. I can't imagine
Both
why.
of them?
Yeah, both of them. So it's a story of an old... Actually, I was going to say Cuban guy.
An old man?
He's not Cuban. The main character is not Cuban. He's actually Spanish.
Oh, is he?
He's an immigrant to
Oh, right,
Cuba.
right. Yeah.
And he, is considered bad luck because he hasn't had any luck fishing for 84 days.
Yeah.
He's gone dry, hasn't caught anything, and his apprentice has left him. He's still very attached to the boy that helps him, and he goes out on this long trip, hooks an 18-foot, 1,500-pound marlin.
Yep.
After being, then gets chased out to sea. I can't imagine how far. 100 miles out
He
to the
gets
sea or
chased. He
whatever.
gets pulled out to
Oh,
sea.
you
by
pulled
the
it. That's what
marlin,
I
yeah.
mean. And then finally kills it, gets it hooked up to his boat, and starts to head back in. And then the sharks come
Yeah,
and
the
just
sharks come.
eat the
Yeah.
thing up. Which, yeah, that's the basic story.
Yeah.
Which, like you said, sounds pretty simple, but
Right.
it's all about the detail and it's all about the way it's told. Hemingway has a theory of writing, which I think he calls something about like the iceberg.
The iceberg theory. It's a
Iceberg
stupid
theory.
name. Yeah.
It's a stupid name, but it makes sense. You get it because it's like it seems like very simple language.
Yeah.
And I was actually doing this thing where I would look at it. How many monosyllabic, like how many one-syllable words do we have before we actually get? And it was like 10, 15 single-syllable
Right.
words before there'd be even a
there-
word like always.
There'd be very
No.
few adjectives or adverbs. I mean, he didn't do a lot of description.
Well, there's not a lot of obvious metaphor. The sea isn't a
Take
broiling, roiling.
Fahrenheit 451, for example.
Right.
Right, where
Oh.
right,
I think Bradbury's
Look,
bad.
okay.
In terms of his prose, I think
look-
Bradbury's a bad writer.
you can call the moon the
No.
moon,
Right.
or you can
Yeah.
call it,
Yes.
the
great shining orb.
great shining, but
Looking
it
down
wouldn't-
on us
wouldn't
like
be-
the
just
finger
be
of
shining. You'd
God.
have to give
Yeah.
it like 5 different hues. Hemingway would say the moon was up.
It's like a whole bunch of really simple words
Mm-hmm.
telling the story, getting the job done, right? And then the vocabulary would shift
Mm-hmm.
to words I don't know. Like it would go from single syllable words to suddenly using words like, I can't even remember what they were, like thrall and gaff and tharp and all this stuff that had to do with the boat.
Right.
And I'm like, it's perfect because it puts me in the mind of this man who would have a very simple
Yeah.
vocabulary
Well,
for almost everything
right.
except the sea and the boat itself.
Well, he was. I mean, the man, Santiago. Santiago. Right?
Santiago, yeah.
So Santiago had spent his whole life on the ocean, so he knew everything. He knew.
Right.
He knew the wind.
Right.
He knew the current. He knew the waves. He knew everything about it. Like he could look at something and be like, oh, the flying fish are about to emerge or something like that, right? It makes sense. The vocabulary is what an old man, and actually the thought. I don't know. In a way, it sounds like, is it a little bit trite to say like this would be the depth of Santiago's thoughts. He's a simple peasant fisherman
Sure.
guy, right?
yeah.
But can that guy not have complex thoughts? But then again, they were complex thoughts. I mean, they really were.
Yeah, sure.
He's talking
sure.
about,
but it's all tactical. It's like how you're
well,
going to handle
not
the fishing
necessarily.
trip.
Like
and
he
it's all,
talks about the fish being his brother. Like we're brothers.
That's true.
But I have to kill you.
That's true.
And our enemy is the shark. And so I mean he had
the
really
concrete
abstract, complex
descriptions.
thoughts.
The concrete descriptions that happen to the character serve to be most of the metaphors in the story.
Yeah.
They're not that the character himself does not
Right.
create a lot of similes and metaphors of what he's seeing.
Yeah.
But he talks about having dreams about lions on the shore, and he's just like, I have dreams about lions on the shore. That's all the character says. You're left as the reader
to figure out
to figure out
what
is
does that
he talking about?
mean? Yeah.
And there's all this.
I used to dream about women, and I used to dream about this. I used to dream about all this stuff.
Right.
And now all I dream about is the lions and it's like
So what is that?
I don't know, but
what do you do with that?
But did he really see it? Like, was that him when he was a kid? Because he'd say, I'd sit there from, I'd watch from the deck. I'd watch these lions come down to the beach as he's on a boat, right? Did that really happen, or is he imagining it? Is it a dream? Is it something when he was a kid? And does that mean like that's what you go back to? Like, is it kind of like your Rosebud type of thing?
Well, there's a reading. There's a reading of the book, like I said, where the character is a migrant from Spain,
right?
Having trouble he's always had trouble sort of fitting into Cuba because he's a Spanish migrant, and that's based on the actual character, the real person that Hemingway based the book on, who had that sort of conflict.
It was his guide,
his
right?
buddy, Gregorio Fuentes, and he was like. That guy had trouble fitting into being Cuban, eventually tried to go back to Spain. And so he's talking about the memories of the Canary Islands and the memories of the African coast and things like that as being sort of I'm not sure, like trying to get back to regrets about being a fisherman in Cuba and it's not going that well. Although I got the impression that the real guy Fuentes was a very successful
I just sort of saw it as
fishing guide.
I sort of saw it as...
I thought it might be death.
Well, I mean,
because he's only dreaming about the lions.
What's important in life? I mean, when you're a kid and you have all this drive, and this fire in your belly, and he's dreaming about women and passion. And as he gets older, it's something really simple. Like, what's really important in life? It's he's watching these lions come down to the beach and playing. That's what they're doing. Is they're playing.
So my take, and maybe it's not really the way he's described. He doesn't sound like he's afraid of the lions.
No.
At all.
Oh, he's enjoying watching them.
I actually sometimes have nightmares about lions or bears or velociraptors or whatever, and I think it represents death. And I think because the last thing he says as he goes to sleep and he's exhausted and he's like laying down in this bed, he's like, he went to sleep and dreamt about the lions. I think it's the last line of the book.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, did he die?
That I don't know.
If the lions are ravenous creatures ready to devour him at the end of his life.
But they're not.
They're not really. They're not described that way.
They're playing.
But maybe he thinks. But maybe it's like Quietus. Maybe he thinks that death is a release from life. He has a hard life.
No, I think that in the end, that's all that we really want. I mean, that's all that's. It's just you're down to the beach and playing. He's playing with the lions are just playing with each other and on a sunny day and
the Yankees are afraid of the Tigers.
Oh, the Yankees are afraid of the Tigers.
Talks about that over and over again.
The Tigres.
Yankees are playing the Tigres.
Tigres
that
from Detroit.
I am afraid of the Tigers of Detroit. He says.
I don't know about that. Yeah, he also talks a lot about
that. Might be my overwrought. Theory.
He also talks a lot about bone
and
spurs.
Sharks are the problem. The sharks come after and chew up his the bone spurs. Yeah, what is a bone spur?
I don't know.
He has a point.
I was going to say, going back to his iceberg theory. If you look at his contemporaries, though.
The iceberg theory. Right.
There's kind of a thought that there's a movement about simplicity, and it was modernism. It was early modernism. So you had Frank Lloyd Wright, right? And Frank Lloyd Wright rebelled against these really the classic Victorian architecture of
form must fit function
of the 19th century, right? And so which
is what Hemingway is doing. The form of his language must fit the function.
Picasso did the same thing.
Well,
right? With abstract in the 20s he did. 20s and 30s it was straight lines. It was cubism.
I think Picasso is doing something very different. These writers that we're talking about are stripping away a lot of the elaborate language in order to just make something very concrete. I think Picasso is about seeing things from a different perspective and playing with your expectations.
Well,
of
I think you could say the same thing with words, though. I mean, literature. You
could, but I think it'd be something different than this. I don't know.
I mean, Picasso before Picasso was realism.
Yes.
Then you had impressionism.
Yeah, it's definitely a reaction. And I would think the realist painters, some of them are doing simple. Some of them are doing like Matisse. Mm-hmm. Some of his stuff it looks childish.
It does.
And Picasso would talk about himself that way, but the way he draws, in a way, okay, I can see what you're saying.
He created, Cubism.
Yeah, some of it is a childish. It's trying to strip away the things he's learned to do.
Right.
And show how a child might draw.
As I said, he talks about that.
Yeah, I remember that quote.
When I was a child, I had to paint like a master or whatever.
Well, part of it, though, with Hemingway is he learned to write as a journalist.
Yeah.
And he worked for the Kansas City Star, and he said that the mantra of the newspaper was use short sentences, use short first paragraph, use vigorous English, be positive, not negative. And it's it's almost exactly what he does. It's like the way he writes. It's like you took somebody trained in the American world of like writing a paper for the common people, and then you're like, I'm going to go write like an anagogical like reference to Jesus Christ and an old man like swimming in the sea. but with that style, and that's kind of the brilliance of it. And I could see the analogy to Picasso there.
Yeah.
Using the techniques of a child, but like the subject is, okay.
Yeah, and the what they teach in
I'm coming
school,
around on this.
Who, what, where, when, why, how.
Yeah, exactly. You get the basics, but it's the iceberg theory because it's like it seems like a simple journalistic story, but it's there's all kinds of illusions and things like that. I'm a complete numbskull. I did not catch the Christian imagery, but as soon as I had it described, as soon as I read things about the book online, I was like, he's like crawling up a hill with a giant mast on his chest, on his shoulders, and he's like, I felt the wood go through my hands. I'm like, all right, yeah, you're right. Yeah. That is what that is. Okay, right. I don't know what Hemingway's trying to say with that. Yeah, but I don't know what is he trying to say. Why write a book about that?
About what?
About what's the Jesus reference? What is he saying?
Well,
is there a sacrifice of the marlin?
I think he sacrificed himself. I think that's the whole point. He sacrificed himself in doing a good deed.
I mean, he's the one that's getting crucified, and he's the one that's carrying the cross at the end. So,
have you ever read? And I know you have Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena. Mm-mm. You've never heard that? Okay, I'm gonna look it up, and we're gonna.
Is that a speech?
Yeah, dear listeners, and it was a speech that. So Hemingway would have been very familiar with it, and I think he would have really liked it.
Well, Hemingway and Theodore Roosevelt are not entirely separate philosophical strands, right?
Right. And,
although he said he hated Emerson, wouldn't read Thoreau, had a lot of a reaction against some of the people. Like, which author, this story especially, reminded me of a particular author, and especially a particular short story by this author. The desperate struggle to catch this marlin, and then the desperate struggle to try and get back. And the fact that you're reading it and you're like, this is doomed from the very beginning, reminded me of the short story To Build a Fire. And I was thinking, Hemingway is so much like Jack London.
Right.
Like all that very simple description of everything, and it's all about about nature and the wild, and like man versus nature. I mean, that's the surface conflict of this story, right?
I think it's man versus himself.
Man versus himself, yes. Well, but man versus anything is eventually man versus himself. So I mean, he's like, I don't know.
There's
because it's not his personal traits.
Just listen to this, okay? So Roosevelt, after he was president, he gave a speech in Paris because Roosevelt was like a celebrity in his day. I mean, he was especially loved by the French, and then let's see, he gave a speech called Citizenship in a Republic in Paris. He gets to a part, it's a long speech, but he gets to a part, people refer to it as the man in the arena. Okay? So this is what Roosevelt wrote.
Meaning like the gladiatorial arena, I guess, right?
Or whatever. Yeah. Okay. So this is what Roosevelt wrote or said in that speech, and this is that one snippet. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement.
Right.
And who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Were you the one talking to me the other day about how all the people that say bad things about my writing are people who don't write?
Yes.
That was you. Okay. All right. We had this conversation the other day. And there's a bit of Nietzsche in there. There's a bit of like the...
There is. But that's Santiago, isn't
trying to keep you down.
Isn't that Santiago? Everybody's making fun of him. You know,
well, they are fishermen.
He's bad luck.
Yeah.
And he goes out. But when he comes back, he doesn't have the catch, does he? What does he have? He has the spine,
he has proof.
The tail.
He has proof.
And at one point during the story... And they all look at it and they're like, this is the best fisherman ever.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
God bless this guy.
Yeah.
You know, look what he did. And so they understand.
Don't tread on my biggest surprise because essentially... I'm going to give it away a little bit, but the ending is my biggest surprise, the nature of the ending. But
to me, that was the entire thing was like, got this fish. Mm-hmm. He realizes at some point, this is the biggest fish I've ever caught.
Yeah.
You know, I don't.
It's not just the biggest one he's ever caught. It's so big he can't believe that it's that big. It's like bigger than his boat.
And then he starts saying, "Oh, the dream was too good." As soon when the sharks start coming in. Now here's
my math right? By the way, if it's 1,500 pounds and he gets 75% of it, he says 3/4, he gets like $300, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's more money than it is today in 1950s Cuba, but it's not that much.
You could probably buy a lot in Cuba at that
probably,
time,
but like it's not life-changing money, right? You don't want to go 84 days.
It was a lot.
You don't want to go 84 days and then make $300.
Well, they could live on nothing.
Let's multiply it by 10.
I mean, he had a shack made out of leaves.
I know, but what are you going to do? Put windows on the shack now? I mean, it's just not that much.
Buy a newer newspaper.
Buy a refrigerator or something, I guess. Yeah,
but
and then the revolution comes, and how many years?
The thing that when I started like hearing Roosevelt's speech in my mind was when he knew it was fruitless. He knew the sharks are coming, but what did he do?
Yeah,
he did it anyway. He defended them with every ounce of strength that he had. He started harpooning them with the gaff, the harpoon rather.
There was
lost the harpoon, then the gaff, lost the gaff. Then tied the knife to the
and this would not be Hemingway's particular philosophy, but the people he hung out with in Paris turned into the existentialists, right? And I kept thinking, because he's always like, "Oh, this is so hopeless,"
right?
But like he keeps and he does it,
but you do it anyway.
He does it, and he does it. It's like
trying.
It's the myth of Sisyphus, right? Yeah. It's like you just keep going, you just keep rolling that mountain. Yes, this bad thing happened.
That's the human.
I just lost my harpoon.
It's the human condition. You've got to struggle against it.
Exactly, and which is why the ending is not an existentialist ending. It's an American ending, is what happens.
Yeah, no, that's true.
He actually gets the thing back there, and they're fighting in the face of despair and futility is the point of this story. I wrote.
There you go.
That's
and to me, that's the whole point of the man in the arena. It's like Roosevelt says. Does it matter if the guy wins or loses? It doesn't matter.
Right.
You know why? Because at least if he loses, he understands what it's like to lose. To try your best, to strive greatly.
This guy gets concrete results from his victory of sorts. I mean, his victory against nature, against
concrete results.
Concrete results, I think.
But he loses.
He loses. He does not get the mark.
Yeah, he doesn't.
But he comes back with that carcass, and everybody sees it. And the boy comes back to him. The boy is like
everybody sees
nobody
it. But it's all they're all in reverence to it.
Right.
Like they all understand. They're like.
But his big problem was he was Salau. He was like not allowed to participate in the fishing because he was considered to be cursed. Right. And he comes back with this carcass, and the boy especially sees it, and he's like, "No, you know what? If you can do that, I'm with you again. Like I'm going back with you. My parents say I'm not allowed to fish with you because you're cursed, but I'm gonna fish with you anyway." And I think that's a concrete result.
Yeah.
He struggled. He got this thing. It was $300. $300 is not as much as now he's got somebody to work with him. Now everybody in the harbor respects him again. It's a win.
No, I think I don't know. I don't know if
it's
I buy that.
It's not the win that he wanted.
I don't know if I buy that.
Unless he dies in his sleep because of the lion metaphor.
They were all fishermen, and they understood him as a fisherman.
Right.
Yeah,
but they're superstitious people.
They are, but
and also because he's an outsider.
But he also last time he had 87 days, and then he brought in like 1,000-pounder.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened last time.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah, and because the boy reminds him of that. He's like, I've never gone further than or longer than 87 days.
Do you think he would still be considered cursed because of this event?
I don't think he was considered cursed.
I mean, he's considered Salau, whatever that means.
Yeah,
I don't know that word.
Unlucky, I think, probably. I think it's different than cursed.
That ain't Spanish. All I can tell you is that ain't Spanish. Well, that's some Taino holdover
kind
of that Cubans use. I've never heard that word.
I think it's he tried and he failed, but they recognize in his failure, they recognize the struggle that it must have taken.
Well, and the skill it must have taken to have caught the thing in the first place. Right? It's not just the
like
struggle.
he didn't lose it. Like he didn't lose that fish. The shark stole it from him.
The sharks took it from him.
Right. Which is different than not being able to get that fish. He got it.
Right.
And so to me, like I said, it's the man in the arena.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt was probably talking about this. He's probably talking about critics, people that commented on what he's doing. But
the very first line is it's not the critic who counts.
But Santiago's problem is not people who are like fishing critics. His problem is the other fishermen. They're all doers. It's a community of doers who are superstitious. and they've cursed him almost like a scapegoat or something. Like the one guy who's not bringing in the fish is going to be the guy that we all disrespect or something. It's a different dynamic.
I didn't see it like that. I didn't really.
But it's not. They're not sitting on the shore, being like, "Oh, Santiago is a terrible fisherman." They're fishermen too. They're bringing in.
Right.
They're bringing in the marlin, and you're not getting it done.
Well,
they're being unfair because clearly, that's the way it goes. Sometimes, if Joe DiMaggio, that's why they talk about Joe DiMaggio.
He was in a slump.
Because of the streak. Because Joe DiMaggio is famous for the streak, and this is a slump. It's the opposite. They're two opposites. I just thought of that right now.
It's the opposition.
Have you ever gone fishing?
Have I ever gone fishing? Of course I've gone fishing. Have you gone fishing?
Are you a fisherman?
I wish I still was. When I was a kid, I spent every summer, and someday my biographers of Wikipedia will write this about me.
Right.
After I tragically die.
Shoot yourself with a shotgun.
Something, yeah.
By the way, I love the Wikipedia article on Hemingway. The last section just says Idaho and suicide.
Yeah, right.
I was like, by the way, anybody who moves to Idaho, odds are your Wikipedia entry is going to be Idaho and suicide.
They should have done a better job of having like a really fatalistic last line. He shot himself alone, period, in the dark, period. Yeah. When I was a kid, I spent every summer, my parents were divorced. My dad left when I was like 3 years old. Total deadbeat. Terrible person. Yeah. Lives in Idaho, by the way.
Hey, Pops.
Suicide.
No way, man.
Happened. Yeah.
No way.
In any case. But total deadbeat. Left when I was, just went out for a pack of smokes, never came back, type of thing.
Right.
But his parents were awesome. My grandparents. And since I was 3 years old.
These are the people you used to take the bus to go see with your brother.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a different time.
Yes.
But I would spend up until I was like 13 or 14 years old, I'd spend every summer over in Roswell. We would fish all summer long. It was fantastic. It was great, man. It was, this is back before social media, before internet.
Right.
I mean, you left for the summer. You didn't see your friends again until August. So it was just all about wherever you were at the time. That's what you would do. So we would go all over the state of New Mexico. We would go to lakes. Okay, so yeah, I would consider myself a fisherman. How about you?
I've fished like twice.
Really?
Yeah.
You'll be kidding. From Virginia? You just didn't come from a family that was, because I would have thought fly fishing would have been.
So I had
right up your alley.
I just never learned to do that kind of thing. My uncle took me one time, and we caught a fish, and it was fun. Some pond up in central Pennsylvania.
What kind of fish was it?
It was a sunfish.
Sunfish.
It's just a little guy with a spot.
Yeah,
that's about all you get.
Thing,
little cricks in Pennsylvania. That's what you get.
I
You know one of my favorite metaphors from this book?
What's that?
The moon affects the sea as it does a woman. Like the moon steps in and like makes the sea crazy.
Yeah, it does it.
I'm not going to talk about that metaphor any more than that. I just want to leave it out there. But that is a great metaphor. That is a Hemingway. Is Hemingway a dude's writer?
Yeah, he is.
I mean, why? Is Jane Austen? Is Hemingway like the Jane Austen of men? But Jane Austen's a great writer. But you don't find a lot of men who are like, I love Jane Austen. I read Jane Austen back and forth.
So I think
it's all about people and their relations with each other.
Yeah, I think Hemingway would be like, but Hemingway was like that for writing. I mean, he was. What is a stereotypical, very machismo male, right? Man of few words.
Shoots himself.
Man of action.
End of his life is a gunshot wound to the head.
Exactly. Man of action.
That's the ultimate man, by the way. That's a man's man.
I always think that's a coward's way out.
A proper man, his life ends with a gunshot to the head in Idaho.
Jack Kerouac vomiting blood because
how did he kill himself?
Who? Jack Kerouac?
Just died of drinking.
Yeah, he drank too much, and I think so. I think he was a male type of writer, like a person, a guy of few words.
I
right?
guess what I'm asking is, there a woman out there who likes Hemingway? I know some women that they're great writers,
I don't
great
know.
writers,
Yeah.
lovers of literature. I've never met a woman who was like, I'm a big Hemingway fan.
I don't know.
I mean, you would have to love men at their darkest, at their worst, at the things that women hate about men.
I think, just like Jane Austen and Bronte sisters, I mean, you've got a feminine point of view.
Who's your favorite Bronte sister? Let's get into this.
The left one. Only one of them.
So Anne.
Left. Sure, why not?
Anne, the farthest left. Next episode of Toasting the Classics, Tenant of Wildfell Hall. We're doing it.
No.
We're going. I just bought a copy of it, so I'm ready to go.
You enjoy that.
I got some nasty books ready to go. So just things.
Is that a nasty book?
Nasty as
I'll
in
read it
long, as in long and tedious.
Oh, God.
So if you mess with me on this podcast, if you put something I don't like on this podcast, it's going to be one of these terrible. Nominate something that's just dreadful. Like if I have to watch.
Anyway, so
what kind of sharks? What kind of sharks do you think mess with him at the end?
Well, he says Makos.
It's a Mako, the one Mako.
Yeah.
The Mako's the one he kills and he feels bad about it.
The other ones.
The Mako's the fast shark that comes and he feels bad about it.
No, that's the one he kills. That's the very first one that he kills.
The first one he kills is at Entuso, which is apparently Spanish for Mako shark.
I think they're bull sharks.
They're bull sharks.
Yeah,
they are.
yeah.
I looked this up. He calls them galanos or shovel-nosed sharks. And I was like, I've never heard of a shovel-nosed shark. I looked it up, and that's another name for a bull shark. And bull sharks are like classically like hated sharks.
Yeah.
Now they're no more dangerous than a lot of other sharks, but they have a bad relationship with human beings.
Yes.
Because they live in shallow water.
Right.
And
they can go between fresh and salt water too.
They can, exactly. Which is why if great white sharks lived in the waters that bull sharks do, we would be terrified.
Do you think they know how great they are?
I think so.
Do you think they gave themselves that name?
I think so.
People were like white sharks, and then the shark was like, no.
Yeah.
Great.
Have you ever met just a regular white shark?
No.
Just like a schmuck
No,
white
they're all
shark?
great.
Yeah, exactly.
Jerks.
Exactly.
Anyway, blacked a brief shark when I was diving one time.
Good.
And it was good.
I've never seen a shark.
Really?
In the wild, not once.
That was the only one I've seen. It was actually, and it was like 2.5 feet long.
There's a National Historic Site in Hawaii, which is like the place where something heiau, where the leaders of Hawaii used to go and get together. And there's a lagoon there that apparently is just infested with sharks. And Alex and I went down there and walked back and forth.
On the Big Island?
This is on the Big Island.
Yeah, okay.
We walked back and forth along the edge where you're supposed to be able to see sharks. I mean, for like 3 hours. He would not give up. Like he had been reading about it, and he was like, "We got to see these sharks." And I'm like, "I mean, I'm cool. Like I want to see the sharks too." But we didn't see anything.
How did he break his wrist, by the way?
Catching a football the wrong way. Oh, it's the way I broke my first bone. I caught a basketball and just took my pinky back and snapped it. He had the exact same injury.
But for the wrist?
No, he broke his pinky.
Oh, because he had his whole wrist in the cast.
Yeah, they get more. When I broke my pinky in 1985,
it was like a little.
It was like my mom put a splint from CVS on it. This is like you go in now with one of these like little kids from 2010, and they're like, put him in containment, stat. Like,
bubble wrap.
Get that cast on.
Where's the bubble wrap?
I mean, he was laughing. He's cool. Like he's a 1980s kid living in 2020.
No, he had a big
he's a
smile
tough
on
guy.
his face.
He's like
good
whatever.
for him.
You know?
That's cool.
But they put a full cast on him with it and everything. He's gotten it signed by a bunch of girls and stuff. He's milking it. He's milking it like I approve. I was like, that's cool.
Smart
that's
kid.
what I would do. Yeah.
Anyway.
You know what I saw one time?
What?
Speaking of sharks.
Yeah, what?
I was at Nag's Head in North Carolina, Outer Banks. And I went down a little marina there, and this guy had caught a great hammerhead.
Okay.
Like up on a spike, like a 15-foot, or that's actually an exaggeration, but like an 11 or 12-foot great hammerhead shark hanging upside down. And it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like I was about that age, like 8 years old.
So hanging it up like
they had it, they were measuring it and stuff and weighing it and stuff like that. And that stuck in my head my whole life. Other than that, I don't think I've ever really seen.
Have you ever eaten a shark?
Yes, I used to live in Galveston actually. Yeah. And we had.
Were you impressed?
By the taste of it?
Yeah.
No. I was impressed by the fact I was eating shark.
Right.
I was not into the taste. The taste was. What was your biggest surprise about this book?
Biggest surprise.
You had not read The Old Man and the Sea book.
No, I hadn't.
Okay.
Biggest surprise in the book was that the old man didn't die.
Yeah.
You know, that really was.
Yeah.
Hemingway is just famous for.
I think he dies though.
I don't think he does.
Sees the lions at the end, man.
Yeah, he's just dreaming.
Yeah, because he dreams, and that's when he dies.
Do you dream when you die?
No, but the dreams are death. There's death coming for him. He died in his sleep.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. But no, I think I don't think he dies at the end. I mean, Hemingway is famous for his endings, so I think it is.
But he's also famous for his kind of gloomy disposition and his gloomy outlook.
Right. There's a book by Stephen King called, I think it's called On Writing.
I have not read that. That's in my queue.
By Stephen King.
Yeah.
And
I read so many Stephen King books, and I read books about writing. Yet I've been looking at writing for like a year.
One of the chapters in it is Great Hookers I Have Known.
Right.
And it's about the first line of a book, and he talks about the first line being the hook. Right. Get it? Hookers. And
I do actually get that.
And I was
I thought he was referring to rugby teams.
hookers. Yeah, hookers.
Yeah.
For those 5 people out of the 20 that listen, that might get that.
By the way, the Portuguese man of war gets a bad rap in this book.
It does.
Which is probably correct.
Yeah, probably.
When
so.
we were staying in Hawaii, actually, everybody had
I
to
was saying
leave the
something kind
water.
of profound.
Oh, sorry. What was it? Well, we all had to leave the water because of the Portuguese man of war.
Did you?
Yeah. It's dangerous.
That's profound.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about your biggest surprise.
Oh, him dying. Okay.
He didn't die.
No, okay. All right. So Stephen King, great hookers I've known, all about the first line. And when I read that chapter in that book on writing, I thought about, okay, what's the best last line of a book that you can remember? I called it Best Tales I've Known or something like that. I don't know, whatever. And really there are 2 that I could think of. Like, can you think of the very last line of any particular books? And the one that I got was Slaughterhouse-Five, which was Poo-Tweet. I know.
What?
Poo-Tweet. That's the very last.
How do you spell that?
I don't know how it's like poo, Pootwe. It's a bird, Poo-Tweet. That's what the bird says. Is Poo-Tweet.
Oh.
That's the very last thing that's said. On
I thought you were talking about
Slaughterhouse-Five. And then for whom the bell tolls.
Okay.
I think the very last sentence is alone in the rain. Because he walks back to the apartment alone in the rain. It's after she dies giving birth to their child.
Off of the top of your head.
In the hospital.
What is the original Star Wars trilogy?
Yeah.
What's the last line of the original Star Wars trilogy?
Star Wars trilogy? Wait,
The original Star Wars trilogy. 4, 5, 6.
So that would have been
This is Return of the Jedi. Right.
Okay. So they're at the Ewok village. Is it? He's my brother.
Whoa!
That's it.
Yeah. I'm impressed, man. Yes.
Yeah, he's my brother.
Oh, man. If I hadn't married Karina, I don't think I could have asked a lot of people that. They would have gotten that right. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so your biggest surprise was the guy didn't die.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Did it seem, because the guy at the end of For Whom the Bell Tolls dies.
No.
thought
No. For whom the bell tolls, it was his wife died.
His girlfriend.
Or his girlfriend died, and the baby died
I don't remember
at the hospital. Oh. Yeah, she gives.
Okay.
She dies during childbirth, and so he's walking back to the apartment alone in the rain, right? And that was the whole point with the whole Stephen King stupid segue that I was talking about. It was like, I always remember that because I was like, that is the
So
worst.
it should be best hookers I've known, and then what you're talking about is best tale I've had.
Yes,
Right?
best tale I've had.
Right.
Poo-Tweet from Kurt Vonnegut, and then Alone in the Rain. It's like,
You know how much less important.
I read that. I read that.
As a guy who's tried to get his book published. Do you know how important your last line is?
Not very.
No one gives it.
Nope.
No one
I
gives.
know.
By the time somebody gets to your last line,
But for
you've already won.
But for Hemingway, it's hugely
no, as
important.
a great writer,
Yeah.
your last line matters. But as a writer trying to get read,
He dreamt of the lions.
that's a good line. It's a
That's a
good
great
last line.
line,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
So my biggest surprise is very similar.
Okay.
It's the just optimistic ending. It's the fact that the guy goes through this giant struggle, and I'm expecting to build a fire. I'm reading the whole time. I'm like, this is to build a fire. This is man against nature,
Yeah.
struggling, and it's all going to be for nothing.
Right.
You know, remember the guy like finally gets a fire going, and then the fire warms up the snow on the branch above him, which comes down and kills his
Yeah,
fire.
puts the fire
It's
out.
very similar to the sharks eating the marlin the guy finally killed.
Right.
And I was just expecting a struggle to the death. I didn't think he was going to get eaten by the sharks, but I thought he was going to die in some way. And the fact that he comes back and the boy comes back to him and the town has respect for him, I'm like, Santiago wins.
Yeah, he does.
Santiago wins.
He does.
He doesn't just defeat
Right.
the marlin.
Right.
He wins in life at the
Yeah.
end. If he dies the next week, at least he dies on top. You know, like everybody respects him and he's not Salau anymore. Like he's got his apprentice back. The apprentice has stuck to him this whole time.
Right. So let me
It's
ask
a very optimistic ending.
Let me ask you a question.
In this essentially existentialist tract,
Right.
the end of it is not existentialist.
Between the time he comes back and the time he catches that marlin,
Uh-huh.
does anybody care that he fought the sharks?
If he tells them the next day, heck yeah, they do.
But
if he says, I stabbed that first Mako through the brain.
But would he? You know Santiago by now. Would he? He wouldn't.
No.
He wouldn't. Does
Would
it
he
matter?
tell anybody? No.
He wouldn't. He wouldn't
no.
tell anybody.
No.
So it doesn't matter that he did all
But
of
they
that.
know. They would know.
Exactly.
They would know. That
Because
he did that.
why would they know? Because that's what they would do, right?
Well, maybe not.
That's what no that because
No,
that's
maybe
what
not. Maybe it's because they respect Santiago more than they respect themselves.
No,
Like they know that he's a great
I
fisherman.
think they know, because that's what you do. You struggle. Like life is a struggle.
Maybe.
You know?
Maybe. Yeah.
The sharks come. Do you let them just take what you just caught? You know, because he spent 3 days landing that thing.
Right.
3 days. His back sore. His arm. You know, his hand is so cramped he has to pry it open.
Right.
You know, he is so like battered and beat up. He finally gets this thing, and then the sharks come for it.
Right.
Is he just going to let him take it? No, he's going to fight. And he knows at the very beginning, he's like, oh, it was too good to last. They're going to take that from him, but they're not going to take it without a fight. And he everything he's got, his harpoon, his gaff, his knife, his oar.
Well, he's been cleaned out, basically. Right?
He does everything he can to stop it, but it's no use. And he knows that as he's doing it, it's no use. But he's not going to stop. That's the struggle. That is our existence.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't stop. You don't just lay down and let life, screw you over.
But that's what I'm saying about my biggest surprise is that he gets something out of the struggle. It's not Sisyphus pushing the rock uphill. This guy gets something out of it.
Yeah.
Gets a concrete reward from having struggled.
I think,
and that's a very American. That's a very American thing.
You're right.
Because a French person would tell the same story, and the guy would just lay down and die.
And he would die at the end. Yeah.
Not lay down and die. He would struggle and then
he would die. Yeah.
But it would just be death and bleakness, and you'd be like, no, one has to imagine Sisyphus happy.
Yeah.
Even though he's struggling.
In the French one, he wouldn't even have the optimism at the beginning.
Oh, you don't like the French. Come on, the French are great people.
Oh, they're terrible.
Them. But they are
persecuted my ancestors. Terrible people.
You are French.
I know. They
Your name means falcon in
but
French.
They persecuted them. Because they were Huguenots.
Ah, I see. They're still French.
Yeah, but still
French. Anyway, so are we toasting this classic? It's up to you.
Oh, it is up to me. Hell yeah, I'm toasting this classic.
Down. That's pretty obvious. I think that's obvious. This is a good one. Hold on. There we go.
No, this is...
I don't know if I'm tasting this punk drink that we're drinking, but I will toast the old man in the sea. You know what, though? It's okay.
After the fifth one, it's not too bad.
On my third one here, I'm kind of having a good time with it. And there was a birthday party before the podcast, so...
Oh, Jesus.
It's not a birthday party. I dropped by for a pint because I had to go do a podcast.
A pint. How many did you have?
I had 1 pint.
Just one?
Pint. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
1 pint of cider.
I'm so glad you picked this. First of all, it's 130 pages.
First of all, it was short, but it's also very good.
No, it was fantastic. I mean, to be able to do what he did in 130 pages, and for those Hemingway, deniers or doubters or whatever out there, people that just give this a shot if you haven't already.
So we don't like this term. Both of us, I think, agree that we don't like this iceberg theory term.
Yes.
But keep that in mind when you read Hemingway. Yeah. Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
If you don't like him, and if you're not bought in to Hemingway, you could dismiss it.
Right.
The title of this book is The Old Man and the Sea.
Yeah.
Sounds like a moron came up with the title of the book, right? That's not what's going on here.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. And Hemingway's a very masculine writer. I know that's something that people don't like. And I'm not saying that there's not a place for the feminine in the world, but there's also a place for the masculine. And that's what Hemingway is.
Right.
So keep that in mind. And that's
and if you ever get down on yourself, let's say you write a book or you have a podcast.
In which case you've probably gone to Idaho and suicide.
Right.
By the way, Karina had a job offer in Idaho.
Ooh, yeah, don't go there.
I was like, literally, by not accepting that offer, my Wikipedia entry changed
I was gonna say your life
dies in his 70s,
life
happy,
expectancy
versus Idaho and suicide.
Extended. But no, seriously, if you ever get down on yourself on anything you do, or anybody like doubts your creative, whatever it is you've done, a painting or a poem or whatever,
and they will,
and they will. I know they will. If you do anything, people will be jerks about it. Go out and read. Go to Amazon.com and read the reviews on any of Hemingway's stuff. any of them, especially The Sun Also Rises. People brutalize Hemingway.
Yeah.
What does Hemingway know about writing? I swear to God, that was an actual.
I think there's
entry.
two kinds of creative people in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 90%
Yeah.
of creative people who everyone excoriates them. They
Yeah.
tell them you're an idiot. Stop doing what you're doing. Go get a job. And then there's the 10% of people who are so just meteorically brilliant that the first thing they write, everyone thinks is brilliant, and those people are dead before they're 25.
Yeah, well, that's true.
You know, those are the people like Amy Winehouse and Jimi Hendrix that are just they're so brilliant, and they really are. And but not even just that they're more brilliant than other people, but they're manifestly, obviously brilliant,
Right.
and no one doubts them. And
Yeah.
they drink or drug themselves to death before they turn 30.
Yeah.
You don't want to be one of those people. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you
Janis
do.
Joplin.
There's
I don't
something
know.
to be said for dying young and leaving a good-looking corpse,
Well,
but that's not my
I'm
plan.
going to tell you something.
Oh, it's too late. Too late. My corpse is already pretty disgusting.
I'm going to tell you something, and our 5 listeners out there, you'll get this too. My book is finally rejected.
Officially?
Officially.
You know what? Those guys.
Exactly. So I had 2 reviews. Okay. So they sent this particular press sent my book out to 2 experts. One expert was a beer expert.
Uh-huh.
The other expert was an African American scholar expert.
So this is getting cut.
Yeah. Why is this getting cut?
So we're not gonna...
No, leave it in. Leave it in.
All right.
The beer expert loved my book. Said, and this guy has a book that I'm not going to name his name because he probably wouldn't want me to, but he's got a book that's got like, I don't know, on Amazon it's got like
I'll name him Sam Adams.
no, it's like 400 or 500 reviews. I mean, the guy his book is huge. The African American scholar probably has written a book with 5 reviews, something like that.
Right.
The beer scholar said, best book ever written. Definitely, publish this book. African American scholar says this book sucks. Not nearly enough stuff about all this African American history in it.
She didn't say it sucked.
She said it was.
She said
it was good.
She said you're the wrong perspective.
No, she said it was well written.
Right.
It'll sell a lot. Narrative nonfiction, but it shouldn't be printed by a scholarly press. And so they sort of agreed. Actually, they didn't agree. They decided not to make a decision on whether to publish it or not. They tabled it. And I found out from the acquisitions editor that it was tabled. And I said, you know what? I've literally spent a year dealing with this one press.
Right.
And when you deal with one press...
You've been working on this book more than a year.
This is my...
Pre-COVID, you were working
I'm going
on
in
this.
5 years on this stupid book.
Yeah.
And so, this one... And so they said... so I said, you know what? I'm moving on from you.
Right.
This is a toxic relationship, and I'm going to find somebody else
There you go.
that loves me a lot more.
There you go.
So, anyway...
I'll publish you. To the extent of my publishing capabilities, I will publish.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on yet another episode of Toasting Classics.
Toasting the classics.
And we are toasting The Old Man of the Sea.
We are. The Old Man in the Sea, despite the Nobel Prize being awarded to it,
The Pulitzer.
despite the Pulitzer, we think that it should still
Yeah,
be
we
with us.
think
it's still
it's
classic.
okay. Yeah, so it's
all
not
right.
not too bad.
It's all right.
And thanks for joining us, and please join us again on our next episode, which I have no idea what that's going to be. I guess it's
up
my
to you.
choice. Yeah.
It's a film.
Ooh, maybe should be something now.
No, dude. Let's enjoy life.
I know, right?
No French movies.
So thanks for joining us.
Truffaut.
I would love to hear from the 15 people that listen to us.
That's right.
So comment.
All of our Patreon supporters get to pick an episode. I think that should be a rule.
We have a Patreon?
No.
Oh.
But we should set that up. And anybody that supports us on Patreon, $1 a month subscription gets you an episode that you pick. I think
that what
we don't have thousands of different tiers and things like that. I
$1
think
an episode?
anybody who's willing to give
So
us
we'd have $25 a month? Well, I guess we'd have enough to pay for booze for
pay
one
for
episode.
the booze, right? That's better than what we're doing right now.
Well, a bottle of Pernod is $75. Well, it's like $50-something a bottle.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Good
that's
Lord,
not
I
cheap.
paid for that. How do I not remember that? You'd think that'd be a real kick in the nuts.
Although
but
you are
anyway.
recycling. That's really smart.
Recycling what? I am,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I got to drink up all my liquor before I move.
Yeah, well,
By the way, you should come
What?
over and help me drink up all my liquor.
what? You're moving?
Yeah. Moving to New York.
For sure.
Yep.
Officially?
Yeah. Wow. I told you that.
I know. No, you told me that as a maybe.
Didn't tell the podcast that, you're saying?
Yeah,
Well,
pretty
the
much.
podcast doesn't care. Podcast is going to hear me
No matter what.
slightly with less audio fidelity, but it'll hear me from New York as well. So, yeah, we got to drink the rest of this Pernod with something. So I think Toasting the Classics is done for this week, episode 38. I think we've done our work. We've decided that the Old Man in the Sea shall thrive.
Absolutely.
The Old Man in the Sea will haul its 18-foot, 1,500-pound marlin into the harbor, completely unscathed. The sharks of our criticism are not going to take a bite this time. Toasting the Classics is out. Peace out.
Peace out. Bye.
Good night.
That's it for episode 38 of Toasting the Classics. For those playing along at home, get some vodka, peach schnapps, orange juice, and cranberry juice to make a sex on the beach, because next week we'll be talking about the 2017 Best Picture, The Shape of Water. If you'd like to get in touch, please send us an email at toastingtheclassics@gmail.com. Send us show ideas, comments, complaints, and tell us if women can like Hemingway. Check out my blog at theattractivenuisance.com and follow us on Twitter at @ractivenuisance. Our music was written by Michelle McArthur. See you next time on Toasting the Classics.